So there are a lot of things you can do, and there are a lot of things you can't do. So it's the same in Orthodox Judaism today.
Right.
I couldn't walk into a McDonald's here on Pico or La Cienega and on a regular basis, and have members of my religious community see that, and that'd be okay.
But at the same time,
there are things I can do and there are things I can't do.
Okay, but what happens when you or Stephen I. Weiss goes to your rabbi, and your rabbi says, "Well, I think that this is this way," or not? I think this is this way, and this is how this thing works. Mm-hmm. The world is like this. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, maybe so. My own feeling, though, is that's actually really wrong. And I don't get the sense that you or he or others like you would be satisfied with, well, Katuv b'Torah. Well, where? Just shut up, Katuv b'Torah. It says it in the Torah, that's what's written, and I don't want to have to point it out, because you are inquisitive enough and have enough confidence in the validity of your thoughts, that I just don't see you accepting that. Now, you may accept, well, this is the rule and this is just what we do.
Right, but on certain behavioral things, if the rabbi calls you in and say, let's talk about this, I really don't want you doing X, and
that you can
and if you want to do X, you can't be a part of this religious community.
Yeah.
That happens.
Right. Well,
that's certainly something that I faced.
Right.
And I've agreed, okay, I will not do X.
Right. Oh, and that I can...
And very limited. I mean, the rabbi doesn't, I've never experienced... I have not personally experienced pulpit rabbis abusing their power.
Right.
But they'll bring me in and say, look, this is the line. If you want to be religious, you want to be part of this religious community, you can't cross the line here.
Right. Well, as long as it still works for you. There's nothing... I think my own opinion or feeling is that that's a good way of... Communities are allowed to do that.
Right.
So then the only question is, are the lines that they draw, do they work for you?
Yeah, they do, basically. There have been religious communities that I've left because I would not.
Right.
But at my age now, I'm 42, and I've done a lot of my exploring wild and forbidden pastures, and
right.
I'm kind of settling down now to a happy life within my religious community, so it's a little easier for me at 42 than it was at 28.
Okay, but can I ask you a question about
yeah.
Okay, so if you have and this is, I don't know enough about your history with rabbis, but let's say you have a rabbi who says they can say, look, you can't work in the pornography industry if you want to be a member of this shul. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the ball's in your court.
Right, exactly.
But and that I understand, but not if they start to say to you, but it's not because this is the rule of the community, it's because this is you have done something bad, and we can't have bad things in this shul, and they want you to accept that they want you to accept their understanding of what you did, that it was just wrong, and that it was immoral, and either you accept that or you leave. Do they make those kinds of demands, or they just say...
No, it's much more behavioral. It's very rare that a rabbi is going to call you in and say, because the rules and norms of Orthodox Judaism are pretty much known by its adherents. So it's very rare that the rabbi has to call you in and say, look, X is forbidden, writing on the porn industry is forbidden. If they do, it's like it's the last conversation they ever want to have.
Right.
You can imagine how distasteful this is to any rabbi, Orthodox rabbi.
Because they're afraid of confrontation, or they're afraid of acknowledging that it exists?
No, it's just disgusting. It's like they don't want to have to deal with this, and they say, look, this is tameh. This is impure.
But the fact that they find it disgusting is irrelevant. I find Hasidic dress in 95 degrees disgusting. I don't say it's wrong, and who cares what they find disgusting? I thought they were men of the law.
Well, I'm sure they can find plenty of laws that... in essence, you're supposed to create a holy community. And so this is the antithesis of holiness. And so that's how it shakes out.
But, well, I don't understand...
I remember Rabbi Cohen at Esher Torah told me, Moshe Cohen, says, look, this is tameh. This is impure, and no Orthodox shul will allow you to be involved in this.
Okay.
So you have to make a decision. If you want to come around the community, you can't be involved in this. And so what's your decision? And I said, I'll stay away from the community.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop writing.
Right.
And so that was in 1998. And then in 2007, when the same thing came up again, I said, I'll stop writing on XXX and keep my place in the community.
Yeah. I mean,
so at age 32,
right.
I had made a different decision than at age 42.
But I mean, to me, that's just I totally. There's nothing sad about the decision that you made. The loser in that, to me, ironically, is it's sad to me that's well, I don't know. I mean, it's just that why is that to me? Writing, you were a muckraker who was when I lived in Ireland, and I was actually I'm interested in I was I encountered you the first time when I found one of your documentaries that was exposing kind of the negative underbelly, because I was wondering what are the consequences of this explosion in internet pornography, and I wanted to find out. And what I found, living on an island in Western Europe, was a documentary from Luke Ford that took a hard, not provocateurish for the sake of it, but really looking at what is going on here, what are the consequences in the life of one particular woman, and just what's going on. This was a source of valuable information to me, and I'm someone who is in that case, like, was looking. I want to know if people are being hurt by this, because that matters to me if they are. So you were performing a moral service by doing that work, and so this is a community that I don't know what how they understand their own mission, but if and what do you come to them and you want to lead a life that's holier in certain respects, and they tell you, yeah, well, that muckraking work you're doing, exposing the ugly reality of another community which is doing damage to some people's lives. We don't have that. That's not what we do. We don't want to see that shit. That's Tamei. That's Tamei here. Well, you know what? Now I, Joey, having told that, now I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off because that's not. Because I like to think of Judaism as better than that.
I remember there was a case, I think it was in Pennsylvania, where I believe it was a Reform rabbi was on trial for murdering his wife, and there was a legal analyst who was commenting on the case for the local public radio station, and he withdrew from commenting on the case because he was a Baal Tshuva, and his Torah rabbi told him that he was not to comment on the case because it made Jews look bad, or was Lashon Hara, and so he withdrew from.
We had a post in Juicy. I think Helen Jupiter had. I don't think she wrote it. She commissioned it, but it was about just that. I think how Lashon Hara, which is a nice feeling part of Judaism, that's considered a sin, or an avera, that is actually an instrument of social control, and that it's used to stamp out dissent or an honest look at ways in which the community could improve itself. There's both the Lashon Hara, which is internal, and then there's the being afraid of what are the Goyim thinking? What will they think if this gets out? And it just creates this fusty atmosphere in which problems are therefore perpetuated. They don't go away if they're covered over. They look, Louis Brandeis, Jewish Supreme Court Justice, we should all be proud, he was good for the Jews, said sunshine is the best disinfectant.
Right.
Well, I mean, doesn't it piss you off a little?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So chapter 17, verse 13 says, "And the people, after you put the guy to death who doesn't want to follow the rulings of the judges and the priests and the Levites," and it says, "You shall burn evil from your midst." Then it says, "And all the people shall hear and fear, and do no more presumptuously." So,
wait, sorry, say the
oh, yeah, 17, but I think verse 12 and 13. Anyway, people shall hear and fear. So you talked today over lunch about people living in fear. Well, there's certainly as many admonitions in the Torah to live in fear as there are admonitions to live in love.
Right.
So the Torah is not